I never did sports before. I was kind of like one of the shy kid that liked to stay home and like play video games and stuff like that. That was my thing. But after the accident, I just kind of ran into the event, and then that got me into sports. I was 14, and I got in a car accident with my brother and my cousin. We were heading to school that morning, then my brother hit like an ice patch, and then we went off the road, and then we hit a tree, and the tree ended up on the passenger side where I was sitting. So it was kind of like right here where my leg's at. It's kind of foggy still, but I remember sitting in like laying in the bed, and it was I think one of the doctors came up to me, and my parents were there, and he asked if I wanted to go through and try to save my leg, but he told me the consequences of it as well. Like you have to wear like this vacuum pump, and you'd have to deal with infections and probably a lot of surgeries throughout the rest of your life, or else you can just get it amputated and learn how to do all these things again. And it was a pretty clear choice to me and my parents that amputation was probably the best choice. The normal person doesn't really think like, oh, what's a fake leg like, you know? And it's kind of a simple process, but it was still pretty weird. It was just a totally new world, and it opened my eyes a little bit. I kind of just jumped into a Paralympic event, kind of just off recommendation from the place where I was getting my legs. Each little detail of your disability changes your classification. So I'm a single below the knee amputee, and that puts me in a class of 44. First you get classified, and then you make the standards for your event. If you make the right standards, then you'll be able to get on teams and stuff like that. And if you make the right standards for the Paralympics, then you'll have a good chance of going.
I think Eric could be very much one of those Paralympians. He could be number one, or he could be number two in the world, or he could be number one and number two in the nation. Max Roan, his teammate, will probably be the other one. So I'm not saying who's going to get it, but I do say let's let both of them push each other. And if they can push each other to the top of the world, that'll be a very exciting thing.
It's normal. It's completely normal now. And especially knowing that I can do anything that I tried or anything I want to do, I can put the same amount of effort as anybody else could into it. It doesn't faze me too much anymore. Most of my time is devoted a little bit to sports. You know, I kind of like looking for like new sports and new ways to broaden my like athleticism.
And that's all a coach ever expects. If your athlete wants to be the best they can be and do what it takes to be the best they can be, it's fun.
I try to devote a lot of what I do to glorify God in some way, because He gave me all these abilities, and I believe He really led me to this point. And that's kind of what motivates me to do this, is I feel this is where He wants me to be at this time. I think there's some things I can do in the future that are different from sports, but at this point I believe this is where He wants me to be.
I expect every one of these athletes, they're going to go and give back. And that's what makes me proud. That's what inspires me every day, that I know they will give more, and they've had to deal with more.
When I have the opportunity to meet an amputee, I'll definitely talk to them. And I try to give them inspiration and put a positive influence on them as well. There's just a PCV that doesn't move, but there's no limits, really. If you really put your mind to it, then you can do anything that you want. You might not like put the same weight numbers up as someone with two legs. You might not be as fast, but there's some guys that are amputees that are incredibly fast. But you might not jump as far, you might not jump high, but you're still jumping.